One, two, three, check, check. Microphone checker. One, two, check. First one in the room on the IG side before vegan was cool. You get a wave. Hello to you. Welcome back. And we're going to fill in no music tonight. Too much effort. Lots going on in the world. Chill vibes. Chill vibes. Let me make a little adjustment there. There we go. Now my face will be above all the stuff. Right. I don't have my watch. I don't know when it is. It is Thursday, September 17th. This is Live on Lockdown episode 39. Yeah, we're slowing down. We're slowing down. It's the continuous music cool out without the music. I'm Baratunde Thurston, your host, and I haven't done one of these in a while. So welcome back to both of us, to me and you and you. I'm simul streaming. One day I'm going to get tired of all that. I'm going to pick a home and I'm going to give it my all. But my IG Live family, hello. And you have the powers of the question box. So we haven't been here in a while. Some of you may be new. This is a largely improvised show of riffing on topics related to the pandemic, to the racial reckoning, to the end of time, whatever we want to talk about. The end of time is probably a good one. We should prepare. And so hit that question box and grab some ideas that you want me to tackle. Now, you, my friends, hello, YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitch and Facebook and the other one, Periscope. I don't mean, I love all my children. I have no children, so I love them all. So yeah, I spend a few starting moments just vocal warm-ups, lubrication, and to allow you time to sort of file into the theater and light up the chats. Let me know where you are. Let me know how you are, and I will do my best to keep track of all the streams. And then we're gonna chill. I know some things I want to talk about, but honestly, I don't show up with a lot. I show up with a little bit of energy, with some very good internet connectivity, with a dope camera, and my beard. That's me. That's how I roll. But I know I'm gonna want to talk about the election and the virus that's still slaughtering us, and then we'll make some space to talk about Apple products because I need to mix it up. And so with that, let me check in, see who's here, do some shout outs to the people in the room, do a little bit of crowd work, so I gotta dance with the ones who brung me. So the first people who were ever here for me on this were my IG Live family. And so let me see who's up here on this end. Jenny from the blockchain is back. LV! Yo! We got LVR the third. You made the leap from one Zuckerberg property to the other. LV normally shows up over on Facebook, but tonight he wanted that up close and personal VIP room. So you have the powers to submit topics, brother. And I'm so glad to see you here. Thank you for showing up. Shiv Doodle, I already know my favorite username of the night. Every show I pick a favorite username. I don't have to go any farther. Shiv Doodle, like that's like, well, actually, is that violence against dogs? Is that how ancient ghetto I am? Like Shiv Doodle. Maybe it's a merger of someone's first name, like a Siobhan, and she likes dogs. Hopefully that's it. Is there a dog in your picture? I don't know. Shiv Doodle, you let me know the originary names. I don't want to be shouting out dog shanking. That's not what we're here for. So provisionally, my favorite username tonight is Shiv Doodle. But if it turns out she's all about, just like hurting animals, then we're going to find another candidate. Probably she's not. And if she is, she's not going to admit it now because I just shouted out her username. Ron's here. Hello, Ron Felton. Bucket full of rainbows. That's my runner-up. That's my run. I didn't even know you could get rainbows in a bucket. So you've figured out a whole trick. As a kid, I was always chasing that rainbow, and you never get there. You never. Unplanned. But I visited the end of the world a few years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago, summer 2017, went on this epic journey around Westeros, aka the United Kingdom. And me and my fiance and her father, big emotional journey. His father was lost at sea doing some World War II stuff. I'll leave it at that for now. I made it sound like he worked for MI6, didn't I? Well, he didn't. So we go to the end of the world, which is literally a place called Land's End, which I know that name because my mom was an outdoors person and a hippie, and we shopped at Land's End. Eddie Bauer, Land's End, REI. I grew up, those were my brands. I never owned Gucci in my whole life. I own Land's End for sure. And a lot of Eddie Bauer, and I'm still loyal to REI. I've been a member of REI for over 20 years as an adult. So me and the wifey to be and her papa, we traveled to Land's End, to the end of the damn world. And it's beautiful. And it rains there because, England. And so right on time, they're living up to their brand. You know what I'm saying? They're following through. Promises made, promises kept, right? That's like the slogan on the UK. And it rains and it pours and it stops and a big, beautiful rainbow. And I'm just like, I'm trying to get to it. This is it. I'm 42 years old at the time, chasing rainbows. Still never made it to the end of the rainbow. I don't think that's how it works. But somebody here's bucket full of rainbows is the runner-up. So Siobhan Marie, thank you for noticing my hair looking fly. Yes, yes. We potted with the couple, and the woman in the couple is a professional hairstylist and dope at that. So every couple of weeks or months, I get a real professional do. What's up, cuz? I see cuz in the house. I see my high school people, Eric, in the house. Hello. All right, I'm moving slower than y'all are. But I like to see what is going on. I apparently Joe Biden's doing a town hall right now. I am counter programming Joe Biden. That was not intentional. I've been in a fog and a fugue state, and just one Zoom has led into like a Microsoft Teams. I got to use Microsoft Teams today. It's mad resource hogging on my CPU, but it's got different colors. I appreciate that. Zoom is just it's like a dead zone in there. There's no life. You know what I'm saying? Like Microsoft got that purple popping in the Microsoft Teams. Tonight's show brought to you by Microsoft Teams. We ain't Zoom and we pop the purple. So all these town halls and things are recorded. So I will check out Brother Biden later. And I know our president did a town hall the other night, and I read about it, but I couldn't bring myself to watch it because there's only so much time. And I kind of feel like I know what he's about at this stage. I maybe won't torture myself there. Okay, so honestly, all I'm looking for here, and then I'm going to pay attention to the non-IG people because we're already like 10 minutes in and I haven't even said anything. Shiv Doodle, okay, looking for, we got Swiss Miss in the house. What's up? Okay, Shiv Doodle said, made it up myself because it's fun. So in that response, there was nothing about like taking a sharp object and ranking, like wrapping some fabric around it and being into like scribbles, on whiteboards, like Shiv Doodle. So you win. Shiv Doodle is the attendee of the evening for the dopest username that I have seen so far. If somebody comes in with like the ballerist, bombest one, you can get dethroned, but it's gonna be a pretty hard contest because I'm feeling attached. Shiv Doodle. All right. Yo, Dan Zoller's in the house. Oh, yes. Love that. Because we all love Dan Zoller's Love Life. Daniel Zoller on IG. He's on the other platforms too. Check out his feed. He went to a wedding recently. I think his date was someone we met months ago during super lockdown. So love to you, Daniel. Love to you and your boo. Maybe if she's not your boo, to your friend, whatever. Love to all. All right. Wow, y'all there's two. I cannot keep up with these comments. But I see that you have started to fill the bucket, IG. So thank you for that. And meanwhile, let me check in on other humans because I've been somewhat neglectful. Uh, Wendy Cooper, she says she's going to watch Joe unless I get going. She's like, bring it or I'm going to watch Joe. Listen, Joe needs it. Watch Joe, especially if you live in a swing state and are maybe undecided. And I'll get to some stuff. But, do what you got to do, Wendy. Do what you got to do. Cindy Lou, welcome. Thank you for being here. Yes, yes. Fair Inbar says, I didn't know you did this anywhere other than Facebook. Oh, Fair, I do this mostly not on Facebook. But welcome to the show. And it's always an experiment. Ottawa, Canada's in the house. What's good, Canada? I listened to the Front Burner podcast this week. I have some thoughts. Let me add that to my run a show. Oh, Canada. We're going to talk. We're going to talk, Canada. I'm auditioning backup countries. And I met some people from Ireland today. They're real nice. But the Canadians, it's much easier to access. You know what I'm saying? We got Huntsville, Alabama in the house. Yo, Bamas are in the house. Thank you. And H-Town, Houston's here. So I get it. The whole world is right here, except for those who are watching Joe Biden. And good on you for doing that. And like I said, I'll do that later. Here's some things that I want to check in on. I'm seeing some of these questions. Okay. Good. So someone asked, this is, kind of a follow-up on a running series. How is Little Neighbor Girl? I don't know. I've been on a lockdown within a lockdown because we're here in LA and the air quality has been terrible. And so we've just been hunkered down within the hunker. We're double hunkered. And so I have not been walking the hood because my phone tells me I might die. And I've got 5 different places that I check the air quality. Like at least I go to, it's like airgov.gov or something. I got the Plume joint. I got the IQ Air joint. I got the LA Times, support local journalism. I've got Apple Maps. Yo, I discovered this beautiful feature in Apple Maps because I don't go anywhere, so I don't really need these maps. But then they have an air quality index built right in. You just drop a pin and it tells you what the air quality is at. Google, how you let them out innovate you. Google's the reign of data, but they let that one go. So they left some scraps for Apple. So basically, I whatever the 5 version of triangulate, I quintangulate the air quality. And then the final test is I open the damn door and say, not today, Satan, not today. It literally smells like hell. It's sulfuric and it's acrid and it's bad. And we're not even in like the Bay Area or the people of Oregon, my goodness. I've looked at all my 5 apps and I like shift the lens north and I don't even know how folks are doing it. So if you're in one of these regions or know people who are, my love to y'all. This is hard. It's hard within hard. So I hope this ends soon. And obviously it'll be back again and again and again because we broke the planet. So there's that. So I haven't had a chance to see Little Neighbor Girl. That's a long way around to that. I haven't seen any neighbor, nothing. I have seen the only neighbors I get to interact with now is the critters. And these raccoons are crazy and they're starting to scare me. They've climbed into the raised bed. They don't respect borders. They don't respect boundaries. They don't respect nothing. They're huge and they come through at all hours now. I thought I understood their timeline. I don't. They do what they want to do. And they're just like, you're in our world. We're going to come in here. We're going to take what we want. And we're not even taking, we're going to just mash our paws, our little diseased paws all over your future food. So I don't know. They're not cute. Like the skunks, my homies at this point, I used to have a problem with the skunks. They're like my favorite friends. The possum are even looking cute, right? Even the squirrels doing it, and they're still doing it. I had a whole story about that. That's still happening. I'm not going to go into that again because, you might have your kids with you. But it's they're very active. They're getting acrobatic in the guava tree. But these raccoons I just, sometimes I feel like I hear something in the night. Like a tap, tap, tap. Like I said, are they trying to come in? It wouldn't, nothing they do would surprise me. Nothing. So I don't know. I don't know. And if I saw a raccoon with like a MAGA hat, like it wouldn't even throw me. I'd be like, of course. That makes sense. That adds up. You do you, raccoon. So those are the neighbors I've seen. No little neighbor girl, no human. Really, I haven't seen humans. I haven't seen humans in person in a while because of this air. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Thank you all for the beautiful birthday wishes. I appreciate it. I'm 43 years old now. And it was a glorious celebration. A very tiny, tiny celebration. But it was great. Spent time with some good humans. And feeling a week older than a week ago. It's funny. It's funny how that works. So, I want to start with something good. I popped open my Washington Post app, support local journalism. And I'm local to many places. You know, I'm local to Los Angeles, is where I live. I'm local to DC, it's where I was born. I'm local to New York, it's my last city and still so much love. I'm local to Boston, it's where I was forged a bit and survived many things. Great town, Boston, also terrible. But great, it's great, it's totally great. If you're in Boston, I love you. So I try to support these media, and I like the Washington Post coverage of things. I like their app, it slides. It's like Tinder for terrible news. You just keep swiping and it gets worse. But then I kept swiping, and I found a beautiful story. I found a story so beautiful. Let me, everything got jumbled. I updated my phone, the software, because Apple, wants to sell more stuff. And I saw this story, and could you see it? I think you might be able to make that out. The focus on this camera is not going to work because it's fancy, but not that fancy. But y'all can see that. Former Pence aide says she will vote for Biden. I love it. I love it. Here we go. President Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic showed a, quote, flat out disregard for human life. I mean, have I been saying this? Have we been feeling this? This is the real world here. She lives in reality. Well done. Because his main concern was the economy and his re-election, according to a senior advisor on the White House coronavirus task force, who left the White House in August. So she had a front row seat of the End of the World show, right? The Kill 'Em All show. We're just living in the Kill 'Em All show. And she was right there up close and personal. Olivia Troye, who worked as a Homeland Security, counterterrorism, and coronavirus advisor to Vice President Pence for 2 years, said that this administration's response cost lives, and she will vote for Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden this fall because of her experience in the Trump White House. Good for you. Good for you. I mean, you worked for the devil, and, we're going to try to, let that slide. Why? 2 years ago, 2 years. So 2 years ago was 2018. So everything you saw up till then, you were like, yo, give me some of that. I definitely want to go work for that team. Team child kidnapping, that's my steez. And then you got off the bus at the mass murder of America. So that's, we know where your line is at. That's kind of interesting. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, and we begging for a miracle because this dude is not playing. The president's rhetoric and his own attacks against people in his administration trying to do the work, as well as the promulgation of false narratives and incorrect information of the virus, have made this ongoing response a failure, she said in an interview. So I appreciate you, Olivia. I mean, you made some interesting choices in your life that led you to work in this particular White. There have been other White Houses, but this is the one that you signed up for. But I am mostly grateful, a little irritated and disappointed, but 51%, a majority stake held by gratitude in the holding company and my feels towards you. And because you made the right choice and you didn't slink off, you didn't wait to write a damn book and monetize your morality, your indignation. You just went on the record with your name and your face and the whole thing, and you committed. You didn't dilly-dally There's a lot of dilly-dallying around this president. Well, he's untoward with the tweets. I don't really approve of his tone. Oh, it's the tone. It's the tone that bothers you. But you're good with the forced hysterectomies. The tone. It's going to be the tone. So Miss Olivia here at least had the decency, after she lacked it, to put her face and her name on the record. And then not just half-step it. A lot of people, I don't know, I'm going to write in for the candidate. Maybe I'll put Evan McMullen up in there. I'm going to vote my conscience, but, I'm a conservative. She's like, I'm voting for Joe Biden. Good. And tell it to Breitbart, sister. Tell it to them fools. I want more of that. I've always wanted that. These generals, I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know. What are you waiting for? Part of me is hopeful that the generals that our president used to love until they all quit on him, Mattis, Kelly, these dudes, the ones who may be behind the revelation that he called our fallen warfighters losers. They didn't deny that they were the source, but they didn't stand up like Olivia here. They didn't go on the record with the name in their face and do an interview. So maybe they're waiting. Maybe they're planning like a big viral video, like one of those like super TikToks where they all come out together and they like dance, they pull out some outdated dance like the Cabbage Patch, and they Cabbage Patch their message to middle America and say, oh, by the way, this fool's damn crazy and he don't respect your sons and daughters serving either. And I thought I could stop him. In fact, I helped stop a nuclear war with North Korea. But, I don't know what you're waiting for. Like, hey, if anybody out there knows General Mattis, put in a word for the American people. Like, totally ready. Do your thing, General. Time is right now. It's just like, just right now. I don't know if you're waiting for like an October, like none of that doesn't matter. In fact, if you want to say what you're going to say, and General Kelly too, if y'all could like do it together. In fact, everybody that used to work, if everybody who used to work here could just come together like a hands across America type of moment. Do one of them beautiful, we get Quincy Jones producing, like it could be lovely. We could do it on the Masked Singer. And we have all these people in masks, right? And you're like, who's behind the mask? And it's everybody who ever worked for this dude. And they just come out and say, but you do it in Wisconsin. California, we don't matter that much here in California or New York. So you do that shit, you do that in Wisconsin. And you tell these people that you're done, you're tired, that you've seen up close. And he's unfit. And then we move on and we get to argue about tax policies, It'd be fun. It'd be a good time. It'd be a real good, fun, funky good time to return to those days. Thank you, Miss Olivia, for stepping forward. I wanted to start with something positive because I don't see many positive pieces of news when I open these apps. It's like, this state is burning, this state is drowning. And just the planet is, it's bad. It's very bad. It's very bad. And I'm usually very optimistic about a lot of dark things. But this planet, we've been known. We've been known, y'all. And we are not acquitting ourselves well. And the terrifying part, there's two terrifying elements to what's happening with our climate conditions right now with these fires. I saw a story about how this fire works, right? It just like houses just combust. The fire doesn't need to physically reach them. It's just so hot that the houses just explode. I feel like I've read about this in spiritual texts. Like this is not good. So here's the scary things. You think you've seen the scary things. You haven't seen the scary things. What we're experiencing right now is it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. There's momentum to what's happening with the climate and the weather. It's kind of baked in. We emitted all this carbon, and it's gonna happen. Like these things, if we just all decided electric cars for everybody right now, solar panels for everybody right now. Everybody gets a backyard with their own raccoon gang to help you harvest your tomatoes. Right now, you don't ship another tomato because the raccoons are working these fields for you. Wouldn't matter. It's going to get worse if we stopped right now, because momentum, mass times velocity, right? P equals mv. We're going back to school. That's one of the things I learned in physics and never unlearned. P equals mv, momentum, mass times velocity. And we move so fast at such a heavy weight of carbon expenditure into our atmosphere that if we stopped right now, if we just let off the gas, we're still crashing into the wall. We're still moving very quickly, and it's still going to get worse for years. And if I was like 10 years old right now, if I was little neighbor girl, I would be like, Daddy, we need to talk. What's the matter with you? Like, why didn't you do something? So we're living in that. So that's reason number one. This is scarier than it seems, because this is the opening act. We're not even at the headliner yet of the climate crisis show. And it's going to be a full-on ensemble of horrors. I used to be thinking like, okay, let me look at this map. Let me try to read as much as I can. So I'm looking at science papers. I'm reading the ProPublica and the Vox and the Nature and the Science magazines and the Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson's podcast, How to Save a Planet. Very good podcast. I highly encourage you to check that out. Go, Dr. Ayanna. Let me get all this data so I can find the 1 square mile where we're going to be good. Because I don't want to burn alive or choke from smoke. And it turns out, you just have to choose one of 1,000 ways you want to suffer. Because everybody's going to suffer. Do you want locusts? Do you want floods? Do you want drought? Do you want fire? Do you want mosquitoes and the Zika? Look, there's no safe space. The whole planet is reacting to what we've done. So again, that's point one. It's just the warm up, and everything's going to burn or drown or dry out or something. Something's going to, and some places will get hit worse than others. And I found some maps. I'm not going to announce it here. You know what I'm saying? But there are some spots. There might be some spots, which brings me to my friends in Canada. DM me. We should talk. I just been looking at some things, and I feel like you're underrated. We could have a relationship, just me and you and my boo. And the people and me, you, and like 500 people that I choose. Number two, the scientists, we've been stressing for so long, like, listen to the scientists, listen to the science, listen to the scientists, listen to the science. It's like a weird backbeat. And they underestimate it. Their models, if anything, like the scientists are showing up like, this is, we thought this would happen in like a decade. So sorry. Like we did try to warn you, but man, maybe we should have freaked out even more. And so if anything, the assessments of what's likely to happen have been conservative. We're ahead of schedule for the apocalypse. If there's one thing that you want to show up with some CP time, it's the apocalypse. And here we are like, okay, so I know I'm early, but I'm ready to lose everything. I'm ready for my property values to sink and the economy to not make any sense anymore. Like, can we just get that started a little early? Because I'm here, and that's humanity right now. We're showing up early to the end times. Not a good look, people. Not a good look. So if you're suffering through any version of this, my sympathies, and I'm sorry. I feel relatively lucky because I have this air filter you might hear in the background, and the sky was blue today. But it might not be. And there's parts of everywhere in the world that are going to be hit very hard. And, for those of us in a resource-rich environment, which if you're watching this stream, you probably are, we're the lucky ones. That's the other devastating thing to consider. There's people out there who didn't contribute to this at all and are not equipped to move to higher ground or lower ground or cooler climes. And they're going to pay the price for something they didn't ever sign up for. And that ain't right. That ain't right. So a moment for the planet, which ultimately is going to be all right if my raccoons are any indication. But for humanity's ability to survive on the planet, we're in for tough times, regardless of what we do now. And it is truly, literally insane to not at least take our foot off the gas as we race toward this wall. Take the foot off the gas. Maybe try to apply some brakes. Give people some helmets. Add some airbags as we approach the wall. We can limit suffering. We can at least do that. So it's not a hopeless predicament, but it is dire. Check out How to Save a Planet. I'm loving this podcast. All right, let me check back in with you. All right. What's up, Tarek in Lincoln, Nebraska? I see you. Charles Smith, I see you on YouTube. Welcome back, brother Charles. William Gibson wrote about our current tack in the Jackpot trilogy, The Peripheral Agency, and third book yet to be published. We got to save the frog and pay attention to the boiling water. Yeah. Topher, what's up? A toast to my old Whiskey Friday buddy. You were more than a Whiskey Friday buddy, but we had a lot of Whiskey Fridays. And Eve Blossoms in the house. Respect and love, Eve. Okay, so someone, Lizzie6212 asks, how was your birthday? Fancy whiskey cocktails. I actually had fancy mezcal cocktails on my birthday. I had a series of mezcal old fashions, like a flight. Can you have a flight of the same drink? Because I was like, get me a flight of the thing I know I love, and let's keep rocking it. It was exciting. It was outside. It was a nice breeze. It was really good. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Getting mildly personal. I don't want to just rant about the politics all the time. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Siobhan asked, did you have as many nightmares as I did after that climate migration piece? I didn't, but unless you count living nightmares, Siobhan. And I don't know how to think about it. I don't know how to think about this climate. And I know how to think about a lot of things. I'm practiced at thinking. But this is a tough pickle. This is a challenge. And sometimes I feel individualistic, and it's like, okay, do we have water? Like a 7-gallon water thing. I get preppy. I get prepper-y. And so that's a way to process. And then sometimes I just get like knowledge spongy and I just want to learn more. Like I want to see the apocalypse in like 4K. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a high definition version of this, so I know exactly how the pain's going to be experienced. And then there's times I just get angry, and I'm like, we knew. I didn't know. I was a child, but like the leaders knew, the decision makers knew. There was this devastating piece that's come out within the past 2 years about the guy who worked for Reagan. I don't remember his name, but he like stymied a lot of this. You got the people who killed the electric car back in like the 70s, 80s. So we've known. And it's not like this is coming out. This isn't a random alien invasion where they just show up out of nowhere like in the movies. Like, this is an alien invasion where the aliens say like, hey, we're coming. We're going to mess y'all up. Like, we're bringing everything. We're going to give you a head start, but we're coming for that human ass. We're coming for Earth's ass. And so the aliens like send a GCal. You know what I'm saying? Like, they send and you open up the GCal and they're like, this is exactly how we're going to hit you. We're going to increase the parts per million of carbon. We're going to raise the sea levels. We're going to make growing food more difficult. We're going to force migrations, which create civil conflict and strife and outright civil wars. And it's going to undermine your economy. But it was all telegraphed. Like, it's not a surprise invasion. It's like they sent a heads up decades ago. And we were just like, cool, cool, cool. Anyway, have you checked out this Snuggie? You know, like we didn't care. We didn't care. And many of us did. I don't want to dismiss the activists and the children of the world who stopped going to school and try to make a difference. But the people who actually could have enacted a difference, could have actually made a difference, chose not to. And so sometimes I don't have I don't dream about it, but I live it and I'm just like filled with rage. And I'm 43, you know, I might not even live through the truly worst of it. But if you're 3, like I don't blame you for just like smashing things. Like if you got a 3-year-old and they're just having a tantrum, maybe it's a climate tantrum. Maybe they're just like, what is wrong with you? Why do you, this is my inheritance? The plague? Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. It's really nice. It's really nice. So that's some how I process that. I love seeing y'all talk to each other. That's good. That's good. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, How to Save a Planet. Check that out. Also, check out my podcast, you know, How to Citizen with Baratunde. We dropped a new episode today all about fighting COVID. Had on a hero of the Republic, y'all, Danielle Allen, who, if you're watching me right now, then you probably saw the videos I did about how we safely reopen. And I was like translating this white paper out of the Harvard Ethics Department. So the woman who led that effort, we got her on the show because she does more than co-author white papers. She's like working with mayors and governors and procurement officers around the country to make up for what the federal government hasn't done for us. And so we talked to her about how that works. And then we talked to someone who's lesser known, just a citizen, not from an ivory tower at Harvard. She's a doctor in San Diego. And she started this effort to get personal protective equipment to her colleagues in San Diego, and then expanded to get it to her colleagues all the way down to Tijuana, who were suffering much worse than the people of San Diego, and then to get it to people working in homeless shelters. That's Dr. Amy Aminlari, who works with this effort, Last Mile, which Elizabeth was running, my fiance, here in LA for a while, which our friend Trisha Wong recruited her into. So it's all, you know, where this started, where Live on Lockdown started, you know, in terms of me talking so much about the pandemic. We made a How to Citizen episode, you know, that has its origin story in us. So check that out. And there's some really great things you can do in your community besides scream. And I support screaming. Screaming is fundamental. Who's old enough to remember reading is fundamental? Riff. I'm going to start skiff. Screaming is fundamental. So yeah, check out How to Citizen with Baratunde. And if you're here, you're also probably you like what I have to say or whatever. Leave a review. We have invited, you know, Apple did us a solid when we launched the show and they featured us for a full week in the very top spot. But the challenge with that is it invites the trolls and folks just want to hate on the show. So our ratings have gotten really jacked by this campaign to downrate the show. And, you know, if you read the stuff people are writing who've actually listened to the show, it's amazing. But if you read the stuff from people who haven't, they're just like liberal propaganda. And they definitely say it in a Rush Limbaugh voice because that's how every commenter thinks, because they just repeat him. They don't actually think. They just repeat the Rush Limbaugh voice. So if you could help algorithmically do battle for the forces of hope and possibility, I would appreciate it if you actually listen to the show and then write an authentic review reflective of your opinion, at least based in that reality. So yeah, thank you. All right, let me check back in with you. I've been running for a while. What else is on my thing? I talked about the Pence thing. This president. We're probably going to talk about the 1776 thing that just came out today. And I talked about fire. And we're going to talk about Apple. Okay, so here we go. Oh, this is fun. Someone asked how was Burning Man. I did this virtual VR Burning Man thing. Let me a quick minute on this. I've never been to real life Burning Man. I've only been to VR Burning Man. It was weird. It was weird, and it was fun. And I got like, what do you call it? Teleported as a hologram of myself into this cartoon VR space. That was funky. That was funky. And I was like, I had these Microsoft goggles on, and I'm looking around the real room, but overlaid is like the cartoon room that I'm in. And I delivered this talk performance kind of a thing. And then I had rented this Oculus headset for a week just to kick it in the space because I thought I was going to be using that to do it. And then I got upgraded to the hologram, and it was hard to send it back. So I'm gonna be honest with you, it was hard to send the Oculus back because I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I was boxing. I checked out the Anne Frank house in like actual space, and I was walking around the house. And I visited Amsterdam earlier this year when you could do that. And I tried to visit the house, but I didn't try soon enough, and I couldn't get a ticket. So I didn't have VIP access to the Anne Frank house. And VR let me revisit that, but I didn't finish exploring, and I had to send the dang headset back. The boxing, total sweat, total workout, full body workout. I messed this Russian fighter up, yo. I'm gonna just be real with you. Like, I took boxing lessons. I'm good on the heavy bag. I rocked the Shadow Box Club in New York for a while to deal with the stress of some of my work at the time. So I was just working these combos, and it was legit. Like, I legit was in a fight. And so it's a little scary because you're like, that's not real. But then I just quote my boy Morpheus from The Matrix. What is real? How do you define real? So it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky, the VR world. It's a little tricky. And I still want higher resolution. The headset's a little heavy, especially when you're doing active things. I rock climb. I haven't really done that in real life, but I did it in the VR life. And I literally was stretching for handholds. So it's something. It's something to it. It's probably scrambling our brains and screwing up our whole future in society. Like maybe the worst of Facebook, but more immersive. Or is it like the best of it? We shall see. So thank you for asking. That's that birthday moments. I'm gonna talk more about the birthday. Oh, Daniel. All right, you're asking, would you go back to NYC now? I'm still not ready to do like a big cross country flight. And I've read your newsletter, Daniel. I know you've got your whole like measuring risk thing. And until I have to, I don't think I'm gonna fly. I know people who've done it and they're alive. It's great. It's a great move. But it just feels very, very discretionary right now. And my travel is like to this room where I project myself into the world. I miss it though. I do miss people. I miss people so much. I just miss seeing them, and I miss other spaces, and I miss different smells. And it's kind of, I'm not going stir crazy quite, but I found myself starting to forget things. Like there's a muscle memory of a place. And New York is a place that I have known so deeply, so intimately, so physically for so long. And I was in a conversation with a friend recently, and I forgot the name of a street or a restaurant. And I was like, what is that the end? Is that I'm a tourist again? Is that the sign? Like, how much New York memory do you have to lose? How many references do you have to not be able to make before you're like not a New Yorker anymore? And then to become an Angelino in this weird time when I can't really explore the space, I'm like a resident of Zoom. I know Zoom. I know Zoom like the back of my own hand here. But so yeah, traveling back to New York, I'd love it. I had the honor of speaking today to the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston. And I found myself nostalgic for Boston. And you've been rocking with me for a while. You know how I feel about Boston. I have mad jokes about Boston. But, it's a place that shaped me. I lived there for 12 years, and I have, essentially family who lives there. And I'm not able to see them. And I had been on this kind of luxurious lifestyle, to be real, where I got to travel a lot. And I got to sort of pretend that, I live where I live and I sleep where I sleep. But I'm in Boston 4 times a year. and New York, every other month or something at a minimum, even though I didn't live there anymore for work. And that's all gone. That's all gone. And so I'm feeling the distance in a way that I didn't have to before, that I, had the privilege to not, even as I left these cities, I could still be a part of them. And now I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm on the internet and I can see videos and I can talk to people who are there. I don't know what it feels like. And that feels weird. That definitely feels weird. I do know what my home feels like, and I know what this backyard feels like, and I kind of know what the blocks around me feels like. And there is something positive about being really based in a place where, I'm not so mobile anymore. But I look forward to visiting New York City again. I really do. We had a board call for the Brooklyn Public Library today for one of the committees. And I'm still attached. I'm still working on behalf of this institution, which is doing so much good. And I want to be there. I want to visit a library in New York. I want to visit a library anywhere, actually. So yeah, thank you, Dan, for the question. It's kind of touching and meaningful. All right. Good night, Fabiana. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being here. How are the squirrels? I think I already addressed that. Oh, what's up, Curious Button? Yeah, this is different. This is cool. We're not gonna spend all of our time on the apocalypse. Curious Button, former colleague. We did the Cultivated Wit journey together. If you know anything about Cultivated Wit, Adam here was a big part of that team. So good to see you, my man. In fact, I really appreciate Curious Button. I'm gonna call you by your handle. Was the one who posted the first image of San Francisco during these fires I ever saw. And he said something like, woke up in San Francisco, or went to bed in San Francisco, woke up on the set of Dune, like in Arrakis. And that got to me because I love the Dune universe. I read Dune way back when, as a ninth grader. Frank Herbert, the whole thing. And I read Dune so much, I read the books Frank Herbert's son wrote to continue the saga. That's how down for Arrakis I am. You know what I'm saying? Freeman, Muad'Dib, the spice is life. So I just forgot your damn question. Oh, snap. Sometimes you get into a riff and you riff yourself right out of sense. All right, Curious Button asked about Clubhouse, this audio app. And so, yeah, I got invited into this thing many months ago. And in the beginning, I was like, this is weird. There's a bunch of investors talking about science and the virus and the pandemic. And I don't think I really need to hear a bunch of Silicon Valley bros pontificating on how to reorganize society after a pandemic. It was a little much. But that was a small slice of what it's become. I think it's pretty interesting. I actually did a test run. I did a listening party for my podcast in a Clubhouse room. So I streamed the first episode in with Valerie Kaur, and then I did a chat with people. We had 150 people show up, and it reminded me of those party lines from the 90s, but without the exorbitant phone bill and the weird sex talk stuff that they try to sell you. It was just fun, and it was interesting, and the interface was actually smoother than I expected, and it was a little lighter than Zoom, so you don't have to get pretty. You just open up your microphone. And then I did a pseudo pop-up experience a couple months back when I was first testing it, where I just asked people questions and prompted. So I'm still figuring out what it means. Part of me is exhausted by any new digital space. I'm just innovation is tiring. I have to learn a new language, a new interface, got to create an account, got to invite people in, I got a friend. Yes, I accept your friend. I'm going to reconnect. Oh, can I just establish that? And then if I get to a new space, just drop in my social graph, let me own it instead of Facebook, and then just apply it to wherever I go. Cause that is tedious. And then, wonder what the intentions are of the people building it. And I have some hints, but I don't fully know. But I've gotten to a point where I won't just dismiss it. I think the early press articles missed the mark a little bit because they painted it as just a space for Silicon Valley investors to wax ineloquently on stuff they don't know about. And there's some interesting stuff going on there now. And people are spinning up their own rooms. And I dropped into a conversation organized by, what's her name? Meredith Feynman. She has this book called Brag Better. And it was just listening, which is cool for me. I get asked to talk so much, and I just showed up to listen. And she was talking to, it was a women-centered space about like how to talk yourself up, because women are so discouraged from like bragging. And so I was just hearing these women like flex and talk about their challenges and what's happened in their past business lives or academic lives. And so that was kind of like a podcast, I guess. It's like AM radio without the screaming. So it's interesting enough that I'll keep messing around with it. I won't fully endorse it yet because we'll see what happens. And I haven't figured out how I'm using it. But I like that question. That was different. That was interesting. Thank you, Curious. But I hope you're well, and I hope you're not living in the worst parts of Arrakis, or if you are, that you have a still suit with the whole like thing. That'd be great. And can I just say, as a uncompensated product placement, I am so excited about the Dune movie. Like, I've been waiting for someone to get this right. Honestly, it should be a series. Any book that big should be a series. So I hope they Lord of the Rings it and at least do it in parts. Don't try to take on the whole Frank Herbert thing in 90 minutes or with a terrible editor like 140 minutes. Like, nobody has that kind of time. So just be humble. Just chop it up. Just give us a 6-part series. Give us a 3-part movie. Like, let's space it out. This world deserves to be experienced. So I hope, because that first Dune movie, that was janky. We just didn't have the technology to deal with it. It's like it was ahead of its time. And then Sci-Fi did a movie right around the time they changed the spelling of sci-fi. I never got over that. I never got over Sci-Fi doing the SYF. No, you don't get to do that. It's already an abbreviation. Don't like modify to modified. Sci-Fi, just SCIFI. We know what that is. And you went and tried to be all more up your Google juice with the Sai, with the Y. So they made a version, I think with William Hurt. Nope, I'm not feeling it. And then Jodorowsky, he had a whole vision for Dune. And I watched that documentary about Jodorowsky's Dune. That was a madman. I want his storyboards, though. I would just get satisfaction from looking at the sketches. But again, we did not have the technology to make that. But now we see what we did with Black Panther and the whole Avengers thing and everything with John Wick. We can do this. We can actually create Arrakis. We can do the personalized force fields. I am geeking out so hard right now. You don't even know. This is very exciting. This is a different live on lockdown. So I appreciate you checking in with me. Curious button. Let's see. Oh, and John McDonald BK. I just finished the latest Citizen Pod, and each one is inspiring. See, that's a perfect review. So you just put that in Apple. But thank you so much for sharing it here and sharing it publicly. That's our goal. It's hard. Podcasting is hard, at least the way we're doing it. I'm not just like popping up. Like, the podcast isn't this. This isn't like the easiest thing in the world, but clearly there's not a ton of production and preparation. So if I made this a podcast, that'd be one thing. But we're like booking people who are busy, and we're crafting actions for folks to do in the real world, and we're trying to set it up, and we want to get a range of geographies and topics. So it's like, when you care, it costs more. I wish I cared less sometimes. So when you say that each one is inspiring, that hits me here. That's good, because that's what we're going for. It's tired of just being filled with rage and depression. All right. Oh, we still got a good crowd. Julie Blaha, you're welcome. Oh, John Spelling says, I believe there's a series as well. But will it sync with the film? Will they Marvel it? Or is there like a whole nother team doing a series and then the movie, and then you got it in your mind? You got to change who the actors are. Like when the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they just changed the mom on us and didn't tell nobody. It was just like, we're going to drop a different mom in here without any kind of announcement or any, like. So I hope there is integrity to the worlds, the way Marvel does. I mean, they have all the money in the world, so of course. Oh, Adam, you're just running the show. Adam's my co-producer right now. Am I watching Lovecraft Country? No, honestly, I haven't watched a lot lately. I've been very busy and a little too busy. I mean, also, when you don't live on the East Coast anymore and you do these East Coast gigs, I've had to start at 6:30 in the morning. I'm getting up at 5:30 or 6 to like not look baggy eyed. So these days are long. Here's what I have watched: The Loudest Voice, the 6-7 part series about Roger Ailes, who created and ran Fox News right up to the end, and created in many ways our current president in terms of putting him in that office. I recommend that series so much. It is it makes me angry. Like Elizabeth's like, we shouldn't watch this before bed because you get all agitated because I just get so mad. And I hope that it is based in a lot of truth and real research and that there's not too much invention in it. Because it seems very plausible, and I know it's based on a nonfiction book based on a lot of research called The Loudest Voice by Gabe Sherman of the New York Magazine, maybe? Or the New Yorker. I can't always confuse them. At any rate, that series is good. And is definitely, and one of the takeaways I had, I mean, basically Ailes didn't care about the truth. And he's like, people don't want to be informed, they want to feel informed, and we can give them that feeling. And he was a genius. He was an evil genius, but he was a genius. And he used his powers from my perspective, not good. But he had powers. And it's like, okay, why can't the liberals and the left do that? I think too many of us like respect information, respect truth. Like, I don't want a progressive version of Roger Ailes. That's just like lies from the other side. That's not good. There is no good version of Roger Ailes, because to be Roger Ailes is to ignore the truth in service of convincing people of whatever you believe, regardless of the truth. And that lacks integrity. And I think I'm willing to get into like a good faith argument, a good faith debate with people who I disagree with, but Ailes wasn't interested in that. He would doctor stuff. He ran the birther thing hard against Obama, and he knew. So when someone knowingly peddles a false narrative, then they're bullshit. And we have so much of that in the world right now. So I don't want to contribute to that. But it is elucidating, this story. And it scares me. I guess that'll bring me back around because I'm about to lose the IG feed, and we'll stay running with the after show. I'll go a little longer. So for my IG people, this is up on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn. I'm not even wearing a tie. Facebook and Periscope, unless they cut me off. Sometimes they do. Technology is unreliable. So we're not in the 2-minute countdown yet, but we're going to get there shortly. And then I'll keep talking about this. Because, Ailes poisoned the well. And I think when I get the most like down about where we are, it's like even if Biden wins, even with a Democratic Senate, we still live in a world of Fox News. And there are people who will try to argue, okay, Fox News and MSNBC, they're the same. It's just from different sides. I truly don't think so. And I do know that MSNBC can get carried away. I think, Rachel Maddow's focus back in the day on Chris Christie's Bridgegate, that was excessive. That was like, you should get like a card, from soccer, or a flag from football, like excessive focus on a particular story. Like there's other stuff going on. Let it go. Let's move forward. But that's not the same as denying the facts around the pandemic. I don't think MSNBC has ever endangered public health in the way that Fox News has. And as we're coming into this election where things really are in a precarious balance, we have a part of our country which just doesn't believe things that are definitely true. And it's not because they're just idiots who can't discern truth from fiction. Is that they live in a world, a highly monetized and profitable world, where the people who run that benefit from them believing that. So it's too easy, and sometimes I fall into this too. Don't be stupid. Why? How could you believe that? Well, because a whole universe was created to make it easy for you to believe that, and it serves someone's interest for you to believe that. And that's the sort of thing that's very dangerous, very damaging. And so Fox is a problem, not because it's conservative, but because it endangers us. It peddles untruths in the midst of a freaking pandemic. And it's helped make masks partisan. That's beyond irresponsible. That's criminal. And so when this election coming up, and a president who clearly doesn't care about the truth, just wants to create as much doubt as possible, because he's not invested in all of us. He's invested in a few. And he just cares about getting reelected or muddying the waters if he loses. And we got to live in the wake of that. So with the election and the possible results, one of the things I've been arguing for so much is like an overwhelming result so that there's no margin, because in that margin, lies thrive. And this president declares, I won. And then Fox News carries that water for him, and Breitbart and One America and the smaller outlets, but Fox News is the behemoth. And we need them to make a commitment to not call the election until all the votes are counted. Like, there should be some minimum standard. It's not my idea. I heard it somewhere else, but it's worth repeating. Every media outlet should commit to not calling this election until all the votes are counted. It's a common denominator in a very fragmented society, a very uncommon society where we're so isolated. We should all be able to agree to that. And we don't need every human in America to agree to that. We need the executives at Fox News to agree to that, and the executives at these other outlets. It's like 100 people. We need 100 people to agree, and they will affect and infect hundreds of millions with that decision. So check out The Loudest Voice to understand the mess we're in. And as we try to navigate this world, I'm willing to acknowledge, as a liberal, I'm not always right. Our side's not always right. Our media is not always right. But what Fox has done and created and fomented, that's a whole nother category. It's not information. It's propaganda. It's not true. And people are dead because of it. They're literally dead because of it. And that's avoidable and heartbreaking. And that's what's stupid. Not the people that believe it, but the people who are so willing to sacrifice all of us to profit from it. Yeah, I promised an after show. There's not going to be an after show. When IG kicks me off the stream, wait a minute. Have they not? We're still in this. How are we still in this? What time did we start? It is 1909 minutes. Oh my goodness, y'all. IG Live killed the 1 hour limit. Huh. And before I dismount from this, because I've been using IG as a timer, and I'm like, I could talk for 3 hours. That's not going to happen. But David Smith 8831 says he killed one of my friends. Now, I'm sorry, David. There's people who are not here anymore because of these lies. And man, that makes me angry. So with the bonus round, 3 friends. My goodness, David. My goodness. Okay. Let me end on a lighter note. And I'll try to keep it tight because I was counting on IG to limit me. And it's not. So there's no separate show for you with YouTube. But when I end it for one, I will end it for all. So everybody gets treated the same. And then I can eat. Apple. So I just need to talk about Apple, the Apple company. Because these fools, Apple's fitting to launch something when everything starts slowing down. And your phone doesn't. It like stalls on things. Your iPad's like, I don't know if I even want to. I mean, I know you want me to do that, but I don't know if I want to do that. I'm getting tired. I'm thinking about retiring. But I found a replacement, this new iPad Air. So what I found interesting about the Apple announcements, I only watched a cut down version from The Verge because who has an extra hour these days? I don't. Apple Fitness Plus, they launched a whole program for at-home fitness that synchronizes with your Apple TV and your iPad and your watch with all your health stats and your heart rate. And they built a pulse oximeter into the phone. Why was I on eBay looking up pulse oximeters when I just wait for my boy Tim Cook to do it in the watch? So these people ain't playing, and they trying to put Peloton and Equinox out of business. Like, that's something. It's very special. So I was impressed with some of the stuff they launched. I don't know if it works. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been updating my operating systems all day, and I hope I'm not premature in that. And yeah, I for a company of that breadth and that's not selling me out to advertisers constantly, I appreciate it. And I feel like at this stage they owe me some money back. Like maybe they do an Apple rebate, some Apple reparations or something. Just like I've been good. I've been good to Apple for like 15 straight years. They're basically the bank, and I borrow money from them to spend on food and shelter. So yeah, they launched the stuff, and then the Apple One thing is kind of interesting to consolidate some of these services. So I think that's the show. I think I'm gonna do one last scan. Let's see if there's anything else. I have not watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Hoseline, thank you for asking. Nope. And this is a good plug. Next week from Sirius LA, what do you hope for soon to be supervisor Holly Mitchell? So as someone who's becoming more local in LA, trying to get more involved in my local politics, and I've been honored with the opportunity to interview Holly Mitchell, who's running for county supervisor. We don't have county supervisors in New York City. LA is a funny place. We got a mayor, but the mayor controls like a tiny piece of real estate inside of a larger county, and the county's 88 municipalities, and like 5 or 6 county supervisors control like billions of dollars. That's where the real power is at. We're learning. And Holly Mitchell wants that power. So she's trying to step down from a statewide office to a county office, which is also a funky thing that happens in LA. People leave the state legislature to become city councilors in LA. I never see anything like it. I never seen people like, you know what I want? Fewer constituents. Like, I've never seen a politician do that. But California is a weird place. It's a weird republic. So Holly Mitchell, I check with a bunch of my longer term Angelino friends, love her. And I love what I've seen of her. So I'm going to be engaged in a conversation with her. And I'm very interested in her take on housing and the challenge of homelessness and this buck passing that happens with LA City versus LA County, which is like such a convenient excuse not to do any damn thing. And so as someone who's trying to move to the county executive level, how you going to work with the city and the multiple cities in the county to take some responsibility for a coherent response to all of these challenges that we're facing? I'm an amateur in the LA scene in that, like, I'm an East Coaster and we have a different way of governing. And New York, like, unified. Like, they took all these independent boroughs and they made one city with one mayor and one council to rule them all, to serve them all. And LA isn't there yet. So it's funky. But I'd love to hear her take on how she plans to try to reconcile that, because we cannot afford any mixed messages with the multiple compound crises we're dealing with now. The police situation, you got LA sheriffs running gangs of their own, not cool. And LAPD is a whole nother thing. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been Live Unlocked in episode 39. I'm Baratunde Thurston. It is Thursday, September 17th, 2020. If you've been watching me, I appreciate it. Check out Joe Biden too. And because he's actually running for president, not me. And we need everybody to vote for that dude. All right. Peace, y'all.